Hello and welcome to this video on Maya Light, very light. What I've got here is I've got the browser, which is my Google Chrome browser, and I can put in a rectangle of a width and a height at a location X and Y on this gray canvas, and I can make that rectangle any color I choose. So let's say I'm going to make a rectangle that's going to be 50 say by 68, and let's say that it's going to be offset by 20 on the X, and on the Y let's say it's going to be offset by 10, and let's say the color I want to make it is red, and I go RED for red and I change it, and there's the red. Now let's say I want to make another rectangle and I want that offset to be a little bit more. Let's say I want the offset here to be a 40, and I want the Y offset, say, to be a 20, and I want to leave the rectangle the same size, but this time I want to make it blue, B-L-U-E, and I hit the change, and now there's my blue rectangle. Obviously I can start building up a graphic here by just changing the width, the height, the X offset, and the Y offset, and changing the color. If I want to clear the thing, I simply refresh my browser. Okay, let's see how I did that. I'm going to bring this up here just for a minute, and now I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to come down here, and this right here in my body element right here, this is where I included all the initial stuff. The important part is how I set this up right here under my Maya Light type of thing. Okay, right there. Let's bring these together and see what I can do here. I'm just trying to bring them together like this. And now what I see is there's my canvas. Height is 150 and the width is 150, so there's the canvas. The ID, I call it can1. There's my width input. See where it says width? It says width right here. Okay. Input type text ID equals T1, size equal 2. So the ID T1 is going to hold whatever value I put in for width. Height is this one right here. Input type, let's highlight it right here. This is the height right here with a line break after it. And I come here and I look at the height. Okay, it says height equals, and then there's the my tag, input type equals text, ID equals T2. So whatever value I put in for height, that's going to have the ID of T2. There it is for my X right here, and also for my Y. If I look at that, there it is for my X and my Y. And then there's a line break, and the ID for the X is a T3, the ID for Y is a T4. There's my color input, input type text, ID equals C1 for color 1. And there's my button right here at change. So I have this is input type equals button. The value is change, and on click get color. So what I see here is that when I click this is going to call a function called get color. Well, let's see what the function get color looks like. There's my function right there, get color. What I've done here is up here in the head element under my script, I've set up some initial values. For color, I made it light gray, which is the same as the background. The 2 forward slashes is a comment. This right here is simply a comment, and it does nothing except just sit there so that the programmer, i.e. me, can look at it and remember, oh yeah, that's what I was doing. The initial width value is 0, the initial height value is 0, the initial value for X is 0, initial value for Y. That's in case someone comes in here and just clicks on change. It really won't change anything if they didn't put any values in here. That's the reason for that. What I've done here now is for color, I get as document get element by ID C1, and if you recall, C1 was the text input for color, which is right down here. Okay, input type text ID equals C1. So whatever the user typed in there for color, that value is now going to be assigned to color, and I'm going to use that that value of color right down here in my fill style. So whatever they typed into that text box, which has an ID of C1, that if they typed in red, then the color will become red, and that'll now be red. Now, here's some tricks here. This is where I typed in the stuff for the width, the height, and look at here. See what I did with width and height? I had to use a special kind of code here for this reason. Anything I type into a text box in a browser, like the text box here, it's always treated as a string. It's never treated as a number. So with that said, what I have to do is I have to take the input for width, even though you typed in, let's say a 32, that's taken as a string 32. If I took the two strings that you put in, let's say you put a 3 and a 4 in for height and width, and I added them as strings, I wouldn't get a 7. I would get a 3, 4. I'd get 34. So what I have to do is I have to use this JavaScript JavaScript method called parseInt, and it's a lowercase p, an uppercase I, camel code. And what I'm going to do here is I say I want you to take whatever value is in width, and I want you to convert it to an integer, and I want you to assign it back to width as an integer. Don't forget, this does not mean equals, it means assignment. I want you to do the same thing with height. Whatever the user typed in for height, I want you to parse it and turn it into an integer and restore it back in height. Now width and height are numbers. Before they weren't, they were strings. The same thing happens here when I get the X offset and the Y offset. I've got to come down here and I have to parse them to convert them into numbers. If you don't do that, this Maya Light, very light, will not work. So here I go, I do my canvas fill style, which is the color I got, and now I can do my canvas fill rectangle for the X and Y offset, for the width of the rectangle I've drawn and the height of the rectangle I've drawn. Okay, so hopefully you tried this on your own and you can experiment with it and try different sizes of canvases and so on. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.